Today we'll meet Riyansh, a boy who always feared making mistakes. But what if mistakes weren't something to fear? What if they held the key to success? Get ready to find out, because life has a way of teaching us through our failures. In a small town, there lived a boy named Riyansh. He was intelligent, hardworking, and always wanted to be perfect in everything he did. Whether it was studies, sports, or even simple conversations, he feared making mistakes. The idea of failing or looking foolish terrified him. His parents always encouraged him, saying, "Mistakes are part of learning," but Riyansh didn't believe it. He thought, "People only respect those who are perfect. If I fail, they will laugh at me." Because of this fear, Riyansh avoided trying new things. He never participated in competitions, never raised his hand in class, and even refused to learn cycling because he was afraid of falling. He believed that avoiding mistakes meant avoiding failure. One day, a wise professor visited Riyansh's school to give a lecture on success. He spoke about the greatest inventors, scientists, and leaders in history. They all have one thing in common. The professor said they failed again and again. But instead of giving up, they learned from their mistakes. Riyansh frowned. He whispered to his friend, "That's easy to say, but in reality, mistakes only bring embarrassment." The professor noticed Riyansh's reaction and smiled. He said, "Let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, in a beautiful kingdom, there were two painters, Raghav and Vihan. Both were incredibly talented and were invited by the king to paint a masterpiece on the grand palace wall. Raghav was confident and fearless. He believed that every mistake was a chance to improve. If he made an error, he simply turned it into something creative. Vihan, on the other hand, was like Riyansh, terrified of making mistakes. He spent hours perfecting every brushstroke, erasing even the tiniest errors. The king gave them 1 month to complete their paintings. Raghav painted freely, enjoying the process. If a mistake happened, he adjusted, making his artwork even better. Vihan, however, struggled. He was so scared of making mistakes that he kept redoing his work, erasing and repainting over and over again. Days passed, then weeks, and Vihan was still stuck on the first section. When the month ended, the king arrived to see their paintings. Raghav's artwork was a breathtaking masterpiece, full of life, colors, and unique designs. The king was amazed. Then he turned to Vihan's wall. It was unfinished, blank in many places, because he had wasted too much time trying to be perfect. The king smiled at Raghav and said, "The beauty of art is not in its perfection, but in its flaws that make it unique." He then turned to Vihan and said, "Fear of mistakes has stolen your chance to create something great." Vihan realized his mistake and promised to embrace imperfections in the future. The professor finished the story and looked at Riyansh. "So tell me, is it better to try and make mistakes or to never try at all?" Riyansh remained silent. He thought about all the opportunities he had missed just because he was afraid of failing. That evening, he sat with his father and asked, "Dad, have you ever made mistakes?" His father laughed. "Of course, I've made many mistakes, but each one taught me something valuable." Riyansh took a deep breath and decided to change. The next day, he participated in a quiz competition. He was nervous, and yes, he made some mistakes. But instead of feeling ashamed, he learned from them. He started learning to cycle. He fell several times, got scratches on his knees, but every fall made him stronger. Slowly, he realized that mistakes weren't failures. They were lessons. Years later, Riyansh became a successful entrepreneur. Whenever people asked about his journey, he smiled and said, "The biggest mistake is being afraid of mistakes. Each mistake I made led me to where I am today." So remember, mistakes are not the end. They are the beginning of success. Embrace them, learn from them, and grow. Because in the end, the beauty of life lies in the beauty of mistakes.